Welcome to the Glenhurst ArTeach video series. In this episode, artist Natasja Bischoff helps us build a portfolio for art school. So we're here to talk about portfolios, and I know that you teach people who are new in art at all sorts of ages. So if someone doesn't know what a portfolio is and how important it is, give us a sense of why we need a portfolio if we're trying to become an artist.
Right. A portfolio is super important for anybody that's planning on going into post-secondary fine arts or any other artistic endeavor for a career and for studies, because it essentially shows you where you've come from and what direction you might be heading in. And it's just a collection of your work. So to show what you are capable of, what you've been up to anybody or any institution that might be interested in you.
And now it doesn't have to be art that was published anywhere or shown anywhere. It's just work that you've done over
Not
time.
at all. It's like you scribbling at your table, the things that you're interested in, whatever type of work it is that you do, that's what you can pull your portfolio from.
So Natasja, you brought us 10 really wonderful tips about building a portfolio, and we're going to count them down from 10 until 1 in no particular order.
Okay.
So let's start with number 10, keep everything you create. And when you say that, do you mean like keep everything?
No, you don't need to keep the paper plate with the macaroni on it from kindergarten.
Right.
That you can do away with. But once you are hitting a stride and you're doing things consistently, do keep things in a stack, and so that you can go through them every once in a while. And they're like building blocks for down the road, because 4 years from now, when you're wanting to apply to an institution, a school of some sort, you have it to refer back to and to pull from.
You have lots of choices.
Yeah, exactly. More is better than less.
Right. So tip number 9 is to think outside the box. What does that mean?
Well, not just your typical stuff, like everybody knows what drawing and painting is, obviously, but also if you do anything else that's creative, taking photographs on your phone, doing any sort of fun video with your friends in some sort of creative way. If you do any sort of crafting work, like if you sew or if you knit or crochet or if you build things, anything that involves some sort of creative process is worthy.
I never would have thought of that either, like knitting and creative arts, that you're showing a different side of what you can do.
Totally. It's all valid.
So Natasja, number 8 is that schools and organizations want to see your process. What does that mean to see the process when you're talking about art?
So schools don't want to just see the final product, which is a great thing, but also really important is to see what got you to that final product. So any ideas that you've written down, thumbnail sketches you've done, like working out a composition, that sort of thing is important so that they can see the process going on in your head. And I liken it to doing like a division question in math. And you might already know the answer to it and write it down, but then your teacher says, no, I want to see the work, because they want to see how you got from A to B and all the steps. And that just leads to better understanding.
Right. So they want to see what you've kind of scrawled down before you started.
So a good way of doing that is keeping sketchbooks.
Right. And so you brought a sketchbook here. So this is a good example, I think, of a piece of art that you designed.
Yeah. So I did a large painting that I was commissioned for. But before that, I wrote down ideas. I wrote down dimensions. I did thumbnail sketches. I worked out a composition. All of that preamble before actually getting to the painting.
So you would add something like this to your portfolio?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So tip number 7 is to make sure that your art tells a story. So does that mean, the specific piece of art should tell a story, or does it mean that the works you collect for your portfolio should say something about you as an artist?
A little bit of both. So each piece can be about, have its own individual story, but the overarching idea is that as an artist, what is it that you're into? Like, are you about the paint? Are you about the subject matter? Like if you're into figure drawing, for instance, Are you into a theme of sorts? You know, a lot of kids are into anime and that sort of thing. Are you into any sort of mediums? For instance, this piece here is, this is very much, the story here is about materials, because there are so many different contrasting materials going on, and it's about color and composition. So you need to remember also that your work is an extension of yourself. It's like your signature or your voice. It's so unique to you. And so whatever is coming out of you, that can be a part of your story.
So that if someone reviewing your portfolio doesn't know anything else about you, they can kind of feel your essence through your art.
Absolutely.
So tip number 6 is that you have to learn to talk about your art. How important is that you are able to put that into words?
It's crazy important, and it's a little bit scary, but I think you should just trust what it is you're doing with your work. And you can practice speaking with friends, family, your art teacher, anybody who's looking at your stuff or wants to know something about it. Just be honest about what it is that you're doing. And it's so important for down the road, because if you're going off in this direction post-secondary, you're going to need to constantly talk to your instructors about what it is that you're doing. You're going to need to explain it to your peers. And down the road, if you're showing in galleries and that sort of thing, artist talks are a thing. If you're doing a show, you very often have to do a talk, and whether it's in written word or standing in front of a small audience, you're going to need to be able to talk about your work.
Right. So start practicing now.
Yeah. And just and get in line with what you're doing, and just be natural about it.
So we've reached tip number 5, which is explore other kinds of art. So give me a sense of why that's important. Like if I just do sketching, why do I need to know about other art forms?
Yeah, if you're going to apply to an art school after high school, and let's say painting is your thing, that's great. But not only are you going to be doing other things in university or college in an art school, you're going to get sculpture, you're going to get painting, you're going to get mixed media arts. So if you have prior knowledge about those things, that'll set you on a better footing. But also, it's not just the doing, it's the knowing about. It's important to know what's going on in the art world. And so to visit your local galleries, especially contemporary ones, to look at things online, to familiarize yourself with stuff. There's performance art, there's installation art, there's video art, there's not just drawing and painting. So it's good to become familiar with these things.
Tip number 4 is to do your research. What do you need to know about schools before you apply to an art program?
As much as possible. The more knowledge you have about a school, the better. So it's important to look around, to find out what the facilities are like, to find out what a school's portfolio requirements are, so that you're as prepared as possible. You can find out what instructors are at a school. You can go on a school's website, look at their faculty list, see what a teacher's background is in, what their specialization is. So the more you know about a school, the better off you'll be and the better prepared you'll be.
And now I imagine also if you want to specialize in a specific area, you want to make sure that program has what you need.
Absolutely. For instance, if you wanted to go into ceramic arts and you have your heart set on a specific school, but they don't have such a great ceramics department, then that's not where you want to be. So the more you know, the better prepared you'll be.
Tip number 3 is to get advice from someone qualified before you submit your portfolio. So who should you look to for some advice and notes about your portfolio before you finish it?
Obviously, someone who is specialized in the field. So your first go-to person would be your art teacher, right, to help you to pull that together. Beyond that, there are always courses that are geared towards portfolio for kids going into post-secondary fine arts. So that could be at a local art school. It could be at a local art gallery, often offer these classes for high school kids. So those should be your places that you can go to. And if you can hook up with a local artist that you might have some connection to guide you through the process, that's not a bad idea either.
Tip number 2 is to think about presentation. So why is presentation important when you're putting a portfolio together?
Presentation is important in that you want to come across as organized. So you don't want to walk in with your big bundle of work and just go, here it is. You know, like you want to be able to open things up, say, here are the drawings that I've been working on, and they're together, paintings together. If you have any sort of sculptural or 3D work and you're not able to transport it, perhaps you would like to have documented it, photographs, that sort of thing. And so you want to present yourself professionally that way, but professional doesn't mean like we have to have things framed or anything like that. You don't need to go down that road because it's really not necessary at that point.
Don't go overboard, but make sure it looks professional.
Yeah, just mostly get organized.
Tip number 1 is to have fun and be yourself and create art that you love. Why is this the most important part of the list?
Because that's the core of all of this. Like if you don't have that, you don't have this. So it's just focus on what you love, the type of work that you love making. Remember to open yourself up to other stuff too, because more is better, right? Like to know about everything. And our work is an extension of ourselves. So it speaks to who we are. And when we're really into what it is that we're doing, it's going to show up in the work.
I think that's the perfect advice to end on. Natasja, thank you so much for this. I think these are 10 really good, actionable tips that will really help young people put these portfolios together.
I'm so happy to have been a part of this. Thanks a lot.
If you enjoyed this episode, please click the subscribe button below. Give us a like or visit our channel for more videos in the Glenhurst ArTeach series. You can also stay up to date with everything Glenhurst at glenhurst.ca.